Hi and welcome. This week I'm taking a look at my Gilera Saturno. A couple of weeks ago I was out on a ride and I noticed that the water temperature was just a little bit higher on the ride home, so I thought I'd better check the coolant level and the water pump, which I'd rebuilt some months earlier when I got back home. And lo and behold, when I got back home and I had a look at the pump, the pulley has actually come off the pump and has started coming through the cam belt cover. And the most surprising thing is that the cam belt has stayed on, it hasn't jumped a tooth, and the engine hasn't self-destructed, and I didn't even lose cooling. So I don't know what it was doing, but obviously the engine was still cooling reasonably well. So next thing I'll do is I'll take these covers off and we'll have a look at what's going on with this pump. That doesn't look very good, does it? Let's see if we can get that off. Well, here it is, the water pump off my Gilera Saturno. The actual pump seems okay. The bearings still seem tight. The impeller hasn't been damaged in any way. It's really just the pulley has come off. I mean, I was a bit suspicious of the pulley after the original failure, so what I'd done is I actually used Loctite retaining compound on it, and I actually tapped the end of the new shaft I had made and put a bolt and a nice fat washer on the end to sort of help retain it. Well, it must have done something because it lasted about 2,500 kilometres before it actually failed, and it is still actually a tight fit. It actually doesn't want to go on. So a bit of re-engineering is required. A new shaft, and this pulley still looks okay. The flange is still intact, which is good. I just need to have it machined out and probably sleeved in the middle there. I'm not quite sure, and obviously a new shaft will need to be made. I will change the bearings over and probably the water pump seal just as a matter of course, because they've probably been fairly stressed, and it certainly, this pump looked like it was running pretty hot when I had a look at it after I'd finished my ride. When I had a look at the end here, it was all blue and pretty warm. So it'd be worthwhile changing the bearings. They're not expensive. The seal itself was relatively expensive. I think it was around $60 to $70 Australian the time I actually did buy the last one. But, you know, small insurance, it's worthwhile getting it right this time. So the next video, hopefully, will show the rebuild of the pump. I am pretty amazed that this cam belt has survived though. It's worn along this inside edge here. That doesn't surprise me. It's obviously been rubbing quite hard, and you can see some of the core belt coming through. But the teeth are good. It hasn't actually discolored in any way. Cam belts are pretty remarkable things until they actually fail, and they usually fail in a spectacular manner when they break. I've been very fortunate on this bike. You know, that's twice that the water pump has failed, and twice I've sort of got away with it. It's a real pity that these water pumps are not available. You really have to rebuild them because you just can't get new ones. They're not designed as a rebuildable part, and you know, that's all there is to it. You are really on your own when you own one of these motorcycles and you have problems with the water pump. You have no choice but to try and source parts to rebuild it. There was an aftermarket pump manufactured for this bike at one point. It is still available, I believe, but is hard to come by, and there have been mixed results with that pump as well from some people who have installed them. You know, it's the ongoing saga of owning an exotic Italian motorcycle. Well, I'll keep you up to date with what's happening with this, and I'll catch you next time.